Hello, welcome to the Trophy Trust, your weekly podcast for PlayStation Trophy Hunters. I'm one of your hosts, the Dazil. Joining me this evening, we have the Vectronic.
Hello.
We have Sora.
What's up?
And joining us this evening, our special guest, we have games reviewer and YouTuber, SteveOfWarr.
Hey. How's it going?
We're all good here. Steve, thanks for joining us this week.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Guys, yeah, no problem. So guys, let's just snap right to it. We've got a lot to get through in this episode. So let's just talk about what we've been playing since the last episode. And I'll tell you what, this time I'm going to go first, just get mine out of the way, because I haven't really got too much more to speak about over last week's episode. It's just Bloodborne. I've just been playing Bloodborne for the last week.
Just straight up Bloodborne.
Bloodborne, yeah, that's it.
No beating around the bush there.
Yeah, I covered it last episode. Claimed it with PlayStation Plus. Never bought it at launch, never really been into Souls games, but I've been really enjoying it. Actually, a few people have been helping me out from the Bloodborne thread here on our Discord server, where we've been having tips and tricks and people helping and offering each other co-op. It's been a really good experience, like within the community. A lot of people helping each other out, which is awesome. Nice. And especially for like a newbie like me, complete noob to the Dark Souls or Bloodborne, Soulsborne, sorry, is what people refer to it as. Type games. Mm-hmm. So I've been having a good time. I've been I think I played some co-op during this week. I played some with Nomad Dragon, played some with Punish, and also I've been mainly playing it with Claire. He's been really, really, really helpful. I cannot stress how thorough he is with his knowledge of detail of the game. It's crazy. He's basically been carrying me. His shoulders must be hurting because he's been carrying me for many hours this week. I'm liking it. I've been really enjoying it, but mainly because I've had so much help that it's not really been too challenging on my end. I've got basically almost everything done. I've got a handful of trophies left to do, just the Chalice dungeons. Claire helped me out with the final boss and the 3 different endings, where rather than having to play the game through 3 times, you just back up your save just before the final boss. Then
you just get save scummed.
Oh,
yeah, basically.
Love that.
Yeah, you just load it up after you beat the boss, and after the credits roll for each type of trophy. I won't go into the details for spoilers. And then, like I said, we've just got the dungeons left and one more trophy, and then that'll be a platinum. Hopefully, by the start of next week, I'll have the platinum for Bloodborne. And
nice.
It'd be great. My first Souls game, and I've done it in a week. But yeah, and I'm also happy. I'll be open to help other people now, because now that other people who have platinumed or got really good experience with the game have helped me level up and become stronger, I can now help people sort of below me, as you will, to help them. So it passes along.
They are beneath me.
Well, not like that. They're lower level, how I was. So I'm just passing it down the line, just helping people along,
Sure.
My question to you now is that now that you've gonna be Bloodborne, are you gonna play the actual Dark Souls trilogy?
No, I'm not. I am enjoying Bloodborne. It's a really, really cool game. The atmosphere, just the lore, the horrendous creatures that are in this game, and the satisfaction of the hunt. But no, this is not. This has not sort of lit an interest within me for the Souls games, really. Even with co-op, I mean, if they were on PlayStation Plus in the future, sure, I'll have a crack at it, but they're not games I'm going to go out of the way and buy, to be honest. Okay. The only reason I'm playing Bloodborne is because it's on Plus, and I thought I'd just give it a punt. And with it being on Plus, of course, there'd be plenty of community alive again. Not that it died off anyway, because the game's so popular within that group of people who play the game. But Plus obviously reinvigorated the community even more so and brought fresh blood into the game, if you'll excuse the pun. And so along with people like me. So yeah, I'm happy to play it if it's being offered for free, but it's not something I'm going to pursue.
Of all the Souls games, I'm actually really surprised that still stayed a PlayStation exclusive. Yeah, right? Considering how it would make a killing on PC and Xbox and all the other ones, like the other Souls games, but they're sticking to their guns with the Bloodborne series. It's quite admirable, actually.
Technically, Demon Souls is still PS PSN exclusive.
Technically.
Yeah.
Although there are rumors of Blue Storm Entertainment. I thought here are the guys that made the Shadow of the Colossus remake.
Oh, Blue Point.
That's the one. Possibly working on another remake. Could be Demon Souls.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Possibly.
We can cover that later on down the line. But yeah, just to finish what I was saying, Bloodborne, and just between that, I've just been playing the odd episode of the second season of Telltale Batman: Enemy Within. Just I don't know, just to keep it fresh. Usually I stick to only one game at a time, but with Bloodborne, it's really repetitive with the grinding and whatnot to earn the echoes to level up. So this very evening, in fact, I just thought, I'm just going to take a little break from Bloodborne and just do another episode. And the final episode comes out the end of this month, I think. I think it was like the 27th, I think, of March, the very final episode.
It's the 27th.
Yeah, I was right. Yeah. The 27th, the final episode drops. So I'm hoping to sort of have all the episodes done up to that point so I can just go straight into the final episode the day it comes out and have it done, Yeah. So that's it, really. That's all that I'm going to cover. Steve, why don't you tell us what you've been playing as of late?
I've actually been playing a mixture of things, some for research on an upcoming series, and one just out of fun with a few friends, and I actually did a recent video covering it, actually, because I was very impressed with it. Sea of Thieves. I know it's not a PlayStation game at all, but it's almost could be a potential return to form for Rare, and it's a really fun little pirate game, and I wasn't expecting anything from it. Wasn't even interested in the thing when it was announced, wasn't even on my radar of must-plays, but because it's a free beta, thought I might as well, and then get some friends on board, give it a try. It was actually a laugh. It was actually quite a laugh. But the other games that I've been playing, I'm working on I had an opportunity to speak to one of the founders of Core Design, who made the Tomb Raider games back in the day. So I've been sort of playing through all of the old school Tomb Raider games again, from 1 through to Angel of Darkness, and then I'm going to be working my way through the Legend series and then go from there to the reboots.
I remember a few years ago I downloaded, because I never really had too much experience with the classic, the original Tomb Raider games, but I remember a few years ago downloading them onto my PSP. That's how long ago I did it.
Nice.
And yeah, they in terms of just speaking generally about games and the improvements over the years when it comes to controls, they have not aged well at all.
No. I mean, I have a lot of reverence for that series, but those controls, man, it made it difficult at times for me to fall back in love with them. They don't help the game, especially when you're on a precipice and you end up trying to do something as simple as just wanting to turn somewhere, and it interprets your control to, I want to do a 360 and then off a cliff, and then you end up having to restart. So there's that. But yeah, man, it's sorry, you were saying, weren't you? You were playing through them again, weren't you?
Oh no, that's what my point there was. That's what put me off going any further than a few levels in, because I found the controls, the very aged controls, going back now, I would call that quite a high bar to entry for those games because of the difficulty with the control schemes. Just because, I mean, we're really lucky now. I mean, people complain about bad camera and bad controls in modern not console, but just modern gaming in general. But a short few decades ago, we didn't know how lucky we are today.
I know, man. I mean, this was at the point of the sort of genesis of when 3D games were just starting to come out. So it was a lot of kind of experimentation happening at that time, and things like camera controls. And I was speaking to Adrian Smith, who was the co-founder of Core Design, and he said that when they were working on Tomb Raider, one of the most difficult things to get right was the camera controls, because they had so many problems when moving Lara through different environments and different rooms. In order to get it consistent, they had to do some kind of things they have never done before. And you take the camera for granted, but it's one of the most integral parts of any game. You think nowadays it's just snapped to the right thumbsticks and it's second nature to use the camera and swivel it around. Back in the days, you didn't have that function at all. The camera was basically, you were its slave basically to its will. Wherever the camera pointed, you would have to put up with where it was facing and just had to sort of adapt. So we are very lucky. certainly.
I think that just on a quick tangent regarding like camera, people who are not or haven't had much experience with video games and would not be classed as gamers, like for example, people's parents, grandparents, just to use it as a general kind of like type of person who wouldn't really be that much into gaming. We over the years have learned to develop an almost sixth sense, almost like a subconscious skill to use both the movement speaking mainly just for 3D games, use both movement of the character and movement of the camera in tandem, in such a way that you don't even like consciously know you're doing it. It's like, you know, when you're playing a game, you don't even think about that you're holding control. It's like you're not even
second
aware.
nature.
Yeah, precisely. So when I've like read articles or heard experiences of people who don't play games, like someone's given, just hypothetically speaking, someone's given Uncharted to their grandmother to play and she can't play it. It's because we've learned to the camera and the movement of the character is one now. We've learned to use them sticks to a point where we don't even, most times gamers can just pick up a third person 3D game and like you said, Steve, the camera is just now naturally on the analog sticks. Usually control schemes got a lot better as well.
People already know the main core basics of action games just through experiencing them firsthand.
Kids can basically pick up a controller and play Call of Duty, and it's just instantly intuitive to them. I remember sort of like the older shooters, like GoldenEye was even still limited to when you had to do the free aiming, that was still limited to one thumbstick. But when you gave like Time Splitters, for example, that was a fantastic game. But it was one of the first ones I remember at least pick up and playing where you had the ability to move with the right thumbstick and aiming that and sort of getting my brain to juggle moving around with the other at the same time. It was like, what is this black magic? It was crazy. But now it's everywhere, man. It's so integral to pretty much every core gaming experience, aside from like 2D side-scrolling games, of course. It's incredible. It's
just to come back round full circle. We are lucky now that we have this almost like developers almost use like a template now in regards to building control schemes, especially with first-person shooters, because 9 times out of 10, you know, square is reload, circle, or even pushing in the analog is to crouch. Grenades are to the back triggers, and looking down sights are usually to the front, or vice versa. So there's like, we're lucky now that over the few decades, especially with the advent of 3D games, that we now have a decent control schemes, and 9 times out of 10 you can just generally pick up a controller and just get straight in. The learning curve is a lot smoother now. Like back in the day with those Tomb Raider games, that it would have such a steep learning curve to master those controls, to just even get the character to do something simple like jumping over a ravine or hanging off the ledge. But now the controls are they're like in the back of your mind. You don't even, it's like some old like Nintendo style marketing phrase, like nothing becomes between you and the games anymore. You know, it's like you're within the game. Anyway, so I think we've dwelled long enough on talking about really old games. Was that was everything, right, Steve? That's everything you've been up to recently?
That is basically, apart from just working on new projects, that's basically been my time playing games.
Okay, right. So, Sora, what have you been up to recently? What have you been playing?
Well, boys. I've been doing a mixture of games, honestly. Just to get like a few of them out of the way real quick. I've been doing like a level 1 critical mode playthrough of Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix on my Twitch, and I've been live streaming that for the past week or so, and I've gotten a fair bit.
Man.
I've gotten a fair, I know, right? I've gotten a fair bit into it. I got all the way up to Beast Castle, and I finished it, and I finished those first 3 sets of worlds. But it's not the easiest thing in the world, you know. Never leveling up, never getting any boosts or anything. So you know, I want to kill myself sometimes. But other than that.
I love playing this game. I just want to die. It's my suffering.
But I mean, other than that, I've also been playing Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13, as in accordance to my $300 bet that I have going on with my friend right now. And for people who are listening into the podcast and do not know what I am talking about, I have a bet going on with my friend, and he bet me $300 that I could not platinum the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy in 3 months. And so he gave me from January 26th all the way up to April 26th. I have Final Fantasy 13 done, and I have 13-2 done. I basically now have a month and a half to just dick around.
You are a glutton for punishment, my good sir.
No,
I couldn't even finish Lightning Returns, let alone platinum it.
See,
you say he's a glutton for punishment, but he's going to be a glutton that's $300 richer.
Yeah, I'm $300.
Well, yeah, right.
then again, that $300 is also my wife's $300. So basically, I have shit.
So you're basically playing to break even at this point.
Yeah,
that's great.
Pretty much.
I love that.
But yeah, I got that going on, and I'm just casually going through about that game, and then I'm also playing Dark Cloud, and which was so it was a PS2 game that I love very much, and I found the PS4 version of the game that's just a standard boot of the PS2 version, but it has included with trophies. And just going through that game again, it's just bringing about all these nostalgic feelings and memories and everything, and I love it.
I haven't thought about I haven't even played Dark Cloud in years.
It's cool, like one of those. It's like one of those hole in the wall games that like no one really paid attention to, but when you start talking about it, everyone starts to chime in and everything. But then other than Dark Cloud, I mean, I've picked up Monster Hunter World today.
Hey.
Yeah, so if you want to talk about a masterpiece of a game, throughout the first 3 hours that I've been playing it today, it has been just awe-inspiring. It's an amazing game.
Oh my!
Yeah, it's sold really well, hasn't it, recently? I remember reading an article, Capcom saying that it's pretty much one of the fastest selling, or one of the most successful games in best-selling game in recent history.
Capcom's best-selling game.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Stop. Best-selling game, full stop.
Full stop. It's awesome. But yeah, that's what I've been playing this week. It's a lot of games, but I mean, I like to have a little bit of variety.
Well, it's not just like a lot of games. It's like a lot of pretty hefty games as well. Like huge games with a lot of complex things to get through as well.
I mainly just go through RPGs. That's what I've been. That's what I'm known for and everything. I just go through JRPGs and RPGs and I platinum them, and that's my main. That's what I like doing all the time.
More power to you, buddy.
Yeah,
I was going to ask though, what is it? What's it like playing through a really shite version of Majora's Mask though? Lightning Returns. Because that, I could imagine being a really difficult game to platinum, simply because you've got so much to do in such a short space of time.
Dude,
have you got a plan? Have you got like a schedule, a routine?
See, you would think I would have a schedule. You would think I'd be more prepared, but I don't. I don't. It's just, I wing it. I just wing it. And if it comes to fruition, yay. If it doesn't, oh, okay. But yeah.
More power to you, pal.
Thank you.
Cool. So that leaves Vec. What have you been playing this week? Tell us.
Well, I've continued on with Life is Strange, and I just recently beat it. Wow!
Hey.
It's certainly an emotional game, isn't it?
Yep, indeed it is. Just to keep it spoiler-free, I would say this is a game that you should put on the list of games to play because before you die, of course, because it's truly a remarkable experience. It's what most people would describe as a roller coaster of emotions, and they're not wrong. You'll feel a lot of them, and it'll be intense. And one of my suggestions is not play through it the whole time, like continuously, like beat episode 1, go to episode 2 immediately after. Don't. It's emotionally draining at times.
I find that with like episodic games, with like Telltale games or Life is Strange, for example, I always find it's good to just play one a day and just let it sort of digest and just take it in. And especially with Life is Strange as well. It also adds to the enjoyment of and the suspense, and like in certain episodes, of course, you have like cliffhangers and twists and turns. So it's always good to just leave it there for a day and have a think and go off and do something else. It's like when you go to the cinema. And like speaking personally, when I go to cinema and I see like a really big movie and it's like had quite an impression on me, I can't give like if someone asks me, "Oh, how was it?" or my friend texts me and says, "Oh, how was the film?" I can't really give an impression straight away. I need to digest it. I need to like think, have a sit down and just outside.
I know exactly how you feel about that.
You need to process it.
Totally the same. I mean, it was very difficult, for example, sorry to tangent off slightly, but when we came out after watching Blade Runner 2049, that was one of those movies where you need a long time afterwards to sort of sit and I couldn't sort of say to people, "Oh, it's great," and say X, Y, and Z, because just didn't even work out how I actually properly felt about it afterwards. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from with that, dude.
Like when you're so mind blown about something that you just literally cannot sort out sentences to tell people how amazing it is.
That's like if something's particularly emotionally impactful, like for example, obviously it's been out for ages, but like Star Wars Force Awakens, when the spoilers, but the death of
Jazzbono
really hit me hard. Like it took me literally days to process that. I was just like, there'll be moments at home when I will just stop and think, "Fuck,
Jazzbono
dead." Like that character, that like iconic character that's been around for all these years, he's gone. Like not obviously gone. He's fictitious, but like going forward, he's gone. Like, and I couldn't.
Of course,
it took me days to process it. When something that you grow up with, in this example, years, like enjoying a character, and then they just take it away from you. It's like, it was almost like having a death of a friend almost, and so just to keep it on the track of like cinema and games, sometimes you just need time to process it. And just going back to like Life is Strange, certain twists, for example, there was one big twist. Everyone on Twitter, I don't know if they were just being a bit dickish about it, but I didn't see it coming personally. The major sort of reveal twist in that game.
Don't say it. Please, you already spoiled one.
I was going to say, I've not played Life is Strange, but I've heard so many good things about it. It's one of the ones on my list to play. Just never got around to playing it.
Yeah, do yourself a favor. Don't talk about this at all. I almost spoiled it last night with someone else after I beat it, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm a dick. I have to. I literally, what I did immediately after I finished it, I was like talking with someone, and I almost spoiled the game. And I told them, "Okay, I gotta stop. I gotta go to sleep. Once I wake up, then I can talk to you because I have so much to say about the game, but it's all talk about the story. So what I'm not gonna do is I'm just gonna talk about the gameplay itself." And I last week I put that the game was mostly like puzzle based, that you use snippets of conversations to use in other situations, although it uses a time mechanic in order to rewind and using that knowledge that you use in previous experiences to flow through the story in a much faster pace. And it's a really good...
the time mechanic is definitely unique in terms of like we've seen time mechanics in games before, like Prince of Persia, just for example, but that's like action sort of orientated. But using time in social situations such as in Life is Strange is a different sort of take on it, and using knowledge to go back and alter the flow of a conversation I found quite unique to that this particular game.
Well, that's what I liked about the first Life is Strange and everything. And then when Life is Strange Before the Storm came out, like I bet they were wondering, like, yo, Max had powers in Life is Strange. What are we gonna give Chloe in Before the Storm? And spoilers for whoever hasn't played Before the Storm yet, but she
don't please.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
she had, okay, let me just say she has a unique ability.
Okay. That makes sense.
Cool.
There you go. Yeah.
That's fine. That's just about as ambiguous and vague I think we're going to get.
Yeah, because Daz already said a spoiler already. I think one is enough.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
No, I didn't.
No, yes, you did. You said one spoiler, and not from Life is Strange in this
No,
episode.
pretty sure I didn't.
You really said Star Wars.
Are you
Wow. I have to beep a
He was,
lot.
he was talking about the spoiler that she said about The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's true, dude.
Yeah.
oh, are you serious?
Don't
Yeah, man.
Don't worry about it. I'll beep the names. Don't worry. Okay? Okay.
Are you, everyone's seen
I
Force
know.
Awakens.
Oh yeah, except maybe the people who haven't. It's like
Oh,
saying,
so who here hasn't then?
I have. I'm just. The only thing I'm concerned about is like if some of the audience hasn't seen it, which I'm pretty sure most of them have seen it.
I'm
but
pretty sure that at this point, everyone knows like the story of
like,
Force
first off,
Awakens.
if you haven't seen The Force Awakens, what are you doing right now?
you haven't seen Star Wars?
Like,
Oh
go to
my
Redbox, go to whatever movie publishing place that you have wherever you live, and go just watch it real quick.
Yeah, there's no need to bleep that out. If you haven't seen it, it's on you. It's been like 3 years.
Plus,
That's very true.
plus,
There was a
Dad
certain-
did say
there was a certain
spoilers
curfew,
before he
isn't there?
said anything. So I mean, for the rare people that don't know, I mean,
Anyway, let's move on because we're going well off.
We're mourning the death of Jazzbono. I mean,
Oh.
whatever his name is.
Jazzbono.
So I assume,
Sounds kind of similar, but it's not the same. So I'm kind of stating spoiler free.
all right, yeah, let's continue.
Living on the
Let's
edge.
continue.
So Vec, I assume that's all you've been playing, right?
Yeah, that's all I've been playing. I'm gonna pick up my next game after the poll ends. Already got 4 games in the list, but I'm still waiting for that to end so I can actually play the game I'm gonna pick for next week. So keep in touch next week, see what game I play.
Okay, all right then. Well, let's roll into the news then and get talking about some stories. So what we got for us, Vec?
Okay, so for the news section of this week, we got ourselves Days Gone. You know, that zombie survival game that popped up in multiple E3s already and still hasn't gotten the release date. Well,
Zombie bears.
Yes,
The zombie bear.
There you go, the zombie bears. Okay, that game got delayed for next year. Now.
Oh, what a shocker!
Oh yeah, I know.
I don't think that this game was been delayed because of technical reasons. I think this game has been delayed to just stay the hell out of the way of Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption.
Oh,
That's
so
exactly-
purely
that's
financial
exactly what-
decision.
This was
Exactly.
purely business. This was purely a business decision. There was no like technicalities about it or anything.
There's only a few games out there that would make big publishers basically roll over and retreat their game, and that would be anything by Rockstar and anything of the sort of Call of Duty series, or to I guess slightly lesser extent the Battlefield series, because they're the giants, you know. And you put out a game, especially a brand new IP such as this one, you're sending it out to die more or less, because people have got their £60, $60, 60 what have yous, and just they're only going to spend it on one game that month, most likely. Just
Well, I
speaking
mean,
generally.
that's what happened with Titanfall 2. It released at the same time as Call of Duty and Battlefield, and it got utter. It's a fantastic game,
Absolutely.
but no one played it because it just came out between 2 heavy hitters.
Yeah, so I guess they're just a tactical retreat into next year.
And that's what was going to happen with Days Gone if it would have like set with its course. But they decided, you know what, we're not going to do that well if we release right here, so let's just move it to next April.
I mean, if I was a game and I was coming up against Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption 2, I think I would probably want to shift my tent elsewhere and sleep there.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't just pitch a tent and be like, oh, I'm just going to wait it out and see how the storm blows.
Yeah, your tiny little tent next to the massive marquees of Call of Duty and Red Dead. You'd be like, hey guys, let's be neighbors. Like,
You
fuck
got
off.
the Sphinx against your little pitch tent you got working out.
Reminds me of Titanfall 2 that got released between 2 juggernauts of game studios. Was it World War II on Call of Duty, and I think it was Battlefield 1? Is that the correct one, or was it something else? I'm trying to remember now.
Ooh.
No, it was Call of Duty Infinite. It was Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1.
Thank you, Sora.
Yeah, it's certainly weird that the same publisher of Battlefield and Titanfall did that. They basically cannibalized their own sales there in regards to Titanfall.
Yep.
Which is a shame because Titanfall is a really damn good game.
Yeah,
really underrated. Yeah. And they did a lot of things right compared to the previous one, which didn't have any kind of single-player campaign. The second one's campaign has been praised by so many people as apparently something that outshines even Call of Duty's campaigns, which, to be fair, in recent kind of years, it's not been difficult to outshine the campaign.
Yeah, it's not really difficult to outshine in recent years for Call of Duty.
It had a lot of refreshing ideas in it, or at least not I would say original ideas, but the combination of them. So you've got the parkour wall running. Firstly, you've got the fact that you fight in a mech, you fight robots. There's time manipulation mechanics in that game as well. The combat was really really cool. There's sort of a kind of fluidity to it that was really nice. I didn't really dabble too much in the online, but people really enjoyed the online of that game. I mean, it started off as a mainly online game with the first game, but we are getting a Titanfall 3. I mean, EA acquired. EA bought.
Respawn.
What's the Respawn? EA purchased Respawn. They now own them.
No.
That's true.
Yeah, I know. EA.
Let's hope they don't go the way of Visceral.
Probably will, because EA is basically like, to quote Jim Sterling, it's basically like, to paraphrase Jim Sterling, EA is like the Unicron of publishers. It just
Unicronic arts.
It just goes around eating planets up and just spitting out the husk. So we'll see. Hopefully they won't, but
it's like the wheels on the bus. They just keep going round and round.
Round and round, running.
Like BioWare can see being next as well for EA to absorb them into the conglomerate mass that is their corporation. Because basically with Anthem, people jumping ship left, right, and centre, like they've lost their lead writer, lead animator, and all kinds of key people. Everyone's basically saying, well, the success of the company now rides on this game, and it's got to be successful, otherwise Unicronic Arts is going to eat ya.
See, when I hear stuff about their lead writer has left the production of that game, I'd start to get a little skeptical, because I'm like, oh, your lead writer, and you have to bring someone up to fill that position.
It's worrying. It's really worrying, especially considering that the writer that left was responsible for most of the good BioWare games as well, like Mass Effect 1 and 2. The story was written by him, and Knights of the Old Republic, the first one, was written by him, as well as a couple others as well. So it's a bit of a loss, especially halfway through development. Quite a kick in the balls for them to have.
Okay, well, moving on then from the Days Gone delay, what's next, Beck?
Okay, since Steve brought up the Tomb Raider, we got today, as the time of this recording, a teaser trailer for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and with a release date on April 27th. This 20-minute trailer showcased Lara Croft running around the jungle areas while an eclipse was happening and Mayan temples were arising. What you guys think about this?
I saw the first images. I haven't properly watched the teaser trailer, but wasn't the trailer sort of attached to the Tomb Raider movie? Because the first footage I saw of it was like someone recording it in the cinema as people were walking past, sitting down before the new Tomb Raider film was starting. So I guess they've attached it to the trailer reel of that. I mean, it makes sense, obviously, but I think it's a pre-rendered trailer as well, so it's just going to be representative.
Not really anything to write home about. It's basically kind of showcasing the location of where she's going to be in. It's going to be in where the Aztecs and the Mayan culture was, but also it sort of gave us a brief silhouette of what she looks like. She's kind of... Sorry, someone going static?
No.
No, I can hear some static. That's weird. Sorry. Yes, you can briefly see what she kind of looked like. She's got this kind of long pants thing going on and tank top. So it's getting everyone sort of kind of saying, oh, she's going to move a bit closer to her classic look, like in the originals or something. And I'm thinking, are they? Are they really? Do you reckon at the sort of end of this origin story, she's going to get two pistols and going to be like, right, me old China, I was going to raid some tombs and shit and stuff like that?
She was going to wear the fucking glasses, the round glasses and stuff, and she's going to ride around on the motorcycle in the middle of the jungle, blowing shit up, while with that terrible camera control is happening at the same time. There we go. We've gone full circle.
I don't know. I just love the fact that they also stated that it's the finale to her origin story. Like they needed 3 games to tell an origin story.
We need 3 games to detail the important origin story of Lara Croft.
Yes, I know. I mean, I understand 1 game, maybe 2, but when you stretch it out to that 3rd game, it starts to get repetitive at that point. I thought the first one in that series was the origin story, and then afterwards it was just Lara Croft being Lara Croft and Tomb Raider, but obviously not.
I didn't even consider the second one part of her origin story. I thought it was just like her next step.
No, not at all. I was exactly the same. I played it because I got it for free from a friend who got a new graphics card, so I got a free copy of it. I wasn't planning on buying it anyway because I wasn't too blown away by the reboot. And then I ended up playing it and still wasn't blown away by the reboot. But it was alright. It was a step up.
I've not played them myself. I'm sure they're fine, but they just don't really.
It's too much like Uncharted.
I played the first one, and then I watched the cutscene movie of the second one, and the only difference that Tomb Raider has over Uncharted and everything is just the spectacality or the supernaturalism that occurs throughout Lara Croft's adventure in the first one, and the gruesome death animations that happen in the first one.
Yeah, the one where it goes through her neck. That's something that's difficult to watch.
Yeah, there was one death where she's sliding down a ravine, and if you miss going over to one of the you can move to side, and if you miss one of the turns, then you get impaled by this pole, and it shows that, and it's like, oh god. Oh. But I just think of it as an Uncharted clone, honestly.
It pretty much is, and I one big complaint I have with the reboots, and I don't get why no one else feels like this, is the fact that the tombs, which is part of the name Tomb Raider, are optional. That was never the case. The tombs were the focal point of the original games. Even the Legends trilogy, that was the focus. And then they shifted it to, obviously it's more of a character game, it's more of a spectacle thing.
Wait, hold on. This game's about tombs. I thought those games were about finding a guy called Tom Brady.
Oh my god.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Shadow of Tom Brady.
Lara Croft in the Shadow of Tom Brady.
Well, there you go. There's the episode title. Done.
Thank you. That was
Lara Croft in Tom Brady. So many wrong connotations.
Wow.
Hey, fan art's gonna get started with that. Don't say that shit.
That sounds like a porno.
Right, well, that's a good point to move on to the next story then before it gets anything more out of control. So what's the next one, Vic?
Okay, speaking of Laura raiding tombs and stuff, let's talk about something much more interesting, and that's Geralt of Rivia guest starring in the new Soul Calibur 6. So this was something that was teased about by the developers a couple of weeks, like a week ago, that we were going to include, but we decided to scrap it midway. That apparently Geralt was going to be guest starring in a video game as part of probably as a guest. And people were saying, oh, it's gonna be for Smash Brothers and stuff. And I'm like, really? You sure about that, bud?
What was it I said to you yesterday? I said to you, it's just like, imagine if Geralt of Rivia was in Smash Brothers and his final Smash was just him naked in a bathtub rolling around people.
With Jennifer and fucking Trish?
Yeah.
Exactly. Just like, you kind of like the final Smash for Kirby where he's got that giant cooking pot. And everyone sort of bundles in. It's just, instead of that, it's Geralt of Rivia, but it's everyone.
Except now it's Geralt of Rivia inside the pot.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone jumps in. It's like, hey.
We're at least on the same page there, because I said the same thing on Twitter, that his final Smash would be the bathtub move.
Yes. Could you imagine, man? That would be glorious. Absolutely glorious.
Oh my
god. I'm excited that he's going to be in 6. I mean,
has that been confirmed, or is it still a rumor?
No, it's confirmed.
I think there's a trailer for it.
It's confirmed now. There's a trailer and everything.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen it myself, but yeah, that's cool. Because last week's episode, where we were going to include it, at that point it was still just a rumor, so we didn't want to drop it in the show yet. But it's confirmed then.
It has been
proper confirmed with the trailer. It shows off his moves and some of the things that it shows off what he'll look like. More importantly, and it shows off some of the moves that he can pull off. And
I think guest characters are getting better and better now because Noctis was just confirmed for Tekken 7.
Yeah,
and they showed off his moves and everything. They're doing good with their guest characters.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder what could possibly be turning up next in whatever game.
Well, with Smash on the horizon, I mean, just talking about like guest characters in other games, with Smash, on the horizon for this year, we're going to get like a whole load of these roster reveal trailers, and it's going to be interesting. People are going to get really hyped for like guests.
Since we're on the subject of Smash, real quick, Sora for Smash. That's all I have to say.
I got it. I got one. Crash for Smash.
Crash for Smash.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone's championing that, and I'm championing that because that'd be just amazing if they got Crash on it somehow.
I was talking on someone mentioned on Twitter before a couple of days ago, because Doom had such a sort of second wind on the Switch. It would be really funny to see Doom guy in it, just like tearing Mario's arms off and beating him.
BJ Blazkowicz and Doom guy in Smash Brothers.
They could do that as an alternate costume. That'd be so easily done. And like just the sight of ripping off Donkey Kong's arm and just smashing, like beating him to death with his own arm or something, it'd just be so funny.
Tearing off his big nose and cramming it down his mouth.
Oh my
Do you reckon
God,
it makes
like
a clown noise if it gets hit? That'd be something to think about.
It's like a ball of solid cartilage, that nose.
Oh my God.
That's his Italian heritage right there.
Oh.
Okay, all right, again. Okay, so what's next?
Okay, so what's next about the agenda is that we got a release date on the Sega Genesis Collection on PS4 and Xbox One coming in May 29th. It's going to include 50 games from the classic Sega library. And I talked about this briefly with Steve yesterday, and oh my God, it's an easy list on the PS3's version to play through, it's buggy as hell with slowdown when it's not supposed to have any slowdown, and it's gonna be interesting.
It's potentially could be one of the worst ports of these old games ever. Only reason why is because I've got the version preceding this on Steam, and because of in the trailer, I don't know who's seen the trailers. Anybody seen the trailer?
Yes, I
did.
That?
No.
It was like the cartridges.
Yeah, so basically they've created a fake room, like a bedroom or something with a TV, and the menu's kind of built into it, so you've got the games on the shelf. They're all kind of like 3D modeled in the proper cases, and it animates the cartridge inside the console when you go to open the game and whatnot, and it plays it through the TV. The problem is, because of the engine that they used for this particular room is so power intensive, it basically causes audio stutter, lag, and you can't even run them at a solid 30 like you would do if they were actually on the consoles that they originally came from.
See, this is mind-boggling to me. Like, how the hell do you mess up running old games like that on new hardware? It's because obviously, I haven't seen the trailer, but just going on what you've said, what you've described, they obviously put so much effort into the front end of this game that it's now ruining the actual gameplay of the games. I mean, I don't think it would have bothered anyone if they didn't include this kind of 3D room. I get what they're doing. It's a cute gimmick, right, for nostalgia's sake. But
it looks. Yeah, I mean, I'll give them that. They obviously spent a bit of time to get this looking quite nice. But even on like the lowest graphical settings for this particular room, you try running the games through it, they run like arse.
But this is at the detriment of the gameplay of the games. People want to play it at those, play it at the performance that they originally were, and having this simulated room is.
I know. I mean, I could be completely wrong about that being on the console version. I hope so. I hope it's a really smooth experience. But if it's anything like it is on Steam, it would just be bad news.
This is the same version as the PS3 one, right? Or this is just getting ported over to PS4 now?
There's no details. According to the thing is that it's 50 games. So it might be a straight up port. I have to check right now.
Because wasn't there a Sega Genesis collection on the PS3, or am I just...
There was.
There was.
There's so many different versions of this same particular collection, and I brought up a chart, which basically says that on the one that was for the PS2, they had a certain amount of games, and on the one for the PS3, they had more, but they took away certain ones, and on the one for the PS4, which is the one that's coming out, they're missing different ones, but are including ones that were in the PS2 one, but are missing some really important ones from the PS3 one.
Why can't you just bring all of them?
I don't know.
Why do you have to subject yourself to being criticized for not having this particular game that someone likes?
Here you go.
It's mind-boggling. It's just crazy.
I found it. It's each of these titles will have modern features such as online multiplayer, achievements, mirror modes, rewind, and save states. It has been revealed there will be both digital and physical releases of the game that will include more than 50 titles, and there's not much detail in which games will be regarded in the collection. However, we have been shown Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, Streets of Rage, Toe Jam and Earl, Golden Axe, Space Harrier, Gunstar Heroes, and The Revenge of the Shinobi. So it says that it would include around 50 titles on the PS3 and Xbox 360, but the new version will contain this, if not more. So this is gonna be probably a different list or whatever.
All right.
Here's hoping they have all the classics on there, because there's no point in having this massive be-all and end-all collection if they're going to miss some important stuff. Just seems really counterintuitive.
Mm-hmm.
But that's Sega sometimes for you. The ones where the fans make better Sonic games than actual Sonic Team.
Was that a subtle jab to Sonic Mania?
Oh, sorry. Was I being subtle? I'm sorry. I'll try and be more obvious next time.
Okay. What's next?
Okay, so you know, guys, about Order 1886?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the developers, Ready at Dawn, are gearing up for a new third-person action game that's supposedly going to be a new IP and not a straight-up sequel of the Order 1886. And they also rebranded their own logo so that people don't associate their logo with the 1886, which was a financial failure, was it?
It could have been better.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was one of those sort of. We've talked about it before. It's like more one of those sort of tech demo-y kind of games that comes out in the early life of a console, where it's to show off the power. I mean, they put so much effort into like the clothes, the textures, the moustaches, that they kind of forgot to make a game, you know?
The moustaches.
No, because the mustaches on the Order 1886 are superb quality.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even not even like hyperbole. They actually released a trailer before the game came out, like a tech, like a Dev Diaries tech type trailer.
Talking
about the facial hair and the clothes textures and how the power of the PlayStation 4 can give us really high fidelity with like
really damn good looking mustaches.
Yeah,
because that's what we want.
I'm not even like really exaggerating that much, if at all. They were really,
that's what's great about this.
They were really putting a lot of focus on facial hair and clothes, and the game is a very mediocre third person shooter, really. It's sort of like a very bland kind of Gears of War simulator. Mustache simulator.
Hear me out. This is the equivalent of Laura's hair from, like, you can render different strands of hair. Like, who really cares about that, actually?
They have that in The Witcher as well.
God.
It's like hair effects. They have it in certain games.
Final Fantasy 15 with the hair feathering.
Totally worthless unless you want to tank your performance when you turn it on.
Yeah.
It looks nice in certain demos or like trailers.
If you want your shit to just take a straight up crash, then by all means.
Yeah. Well, I no doubt they're going to put the technology they used on 1886 into their new game, but maybe they'll put a little bit more effort into the game, because the game's pretty short. It's very easy to platinum to begin with. just replay chapters and grind out. Like most of the trophies are just like X amount of kills with this weapon or that weapon, and mainly just finish the game. You could platinum that game in about 2 days, I think, if you just push through. I can't remember if there's many collectibles, because the game is incredibly linear. There's like no exploration. You're just sort of funneled down. That was
one of its main criticisms, wasn't it?
What can you expect more from a game that has awesome mustaches?
Well, these days though, you find it almost always on sale. So, if you haven't played it, it's definitely worth a go playing when it's on sale. It's really, really cheap. It's not a bad game in terms of like for that price bracket now. I didn't buy it at full price. I didn't buy it at launch. I got it really cheap or pre-owned or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely not like a £60, $60 sort of game. It's, to me now, it feels like a sort of, if they were to launch it now, it feels like a game that would be on par with like Hellblade, like a kind of £15-20 PSN kind of game, rather than a
do you know what I mean? Indie hit.
Yeah, like what was the term they used? Like AAA indie is what the Ninja Theory sort of like coined that term, AAA indie kind of experience. That's what it kind of feels
games like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just the price point with these some of these experiences are just all over the shop. I mean, I'd love to get. I would have picked up. What was the name? The Order. That's it. The Order 1886. I probably would have picked up that mustache game if it was £25. But the fact that they were charging full price for it at the time, it just turns you right off.
Yeah,
it's like basically you're paying $60 for a movie.
Yeah,
or a mustache.
I would definitely sort of group it in with like previous sort of tech demo style games, like I've mentioned in the past, like Heavenly Sword back on PS3 during the launch sort of window. It's like it shows off the visuals and like the power of the system with like all the enemies on screen, but as a game, it's pretty sort of mediocre. So, but yeah, if you haven't played The Order and you see it on sale for a couple of quid or under a tenner, I definitely recommend giving it a go. And if you're obviously a trophy hunter, if you're listening to this, it's a very easy platinum. So have a go at it.
Yep.
So and just in terms of like just to round off this particular subject, I'll be interested to see what Ready at Dawn are doing, because I mean the game wasn't bad. It just felt a bit shallow. So maybe they're taking that on board and they're going to build something that's visually impressive like The Order, but actually have a bit of substance to it. So I'm interested to see.
Here's hoping.
Here's hoping.
So what's up next?
We got 2 more news articles to go through. One is regarding both of them are regarding trophies. So someone or somewhere, some person in the internet who is supposed to be blessed found out that Jak and Daxter has a debug mode, and someone found out the cheat, and you can now basically unlock all the trophies, all of it, with just one simple code. So
this, just to go into a little more detail, this is in Jak 1 and 2 for PS4.
I think it's
all
like
of them.
Jak.
All of them have the debug.
Yeah.
Okay, I read somewhere it was just Jak 1 and 2, but if you say it's free, then sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's a video I found, and it's even spawned its own speedrunning category.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. It's like any % debug mode.
Like if.
Yes. So just to sort of clarify, so PS4 collection of the Jak games, the Jak and Daxter games, someone has found a way to open up the developer's sort of panel for debugging, the menu for debugging, and found a way to pop all of the trophies in. I think I read somewhere like just a few minutes. Like you can get the platinum in just like literally seconds.
Seconds.
Yeah,
like
seconds.
If you go to PSN profiles right now and look at the fastest times, it's like 33 seconds around the average. Like, it's no joke. Literally, now people are unlocking it so fucking fast. Like, normally it's like an 8 to 12 hour game, and the collectibles can be glitched, with the precursor orbs on Jak 2 and 3 being one of the more relevant ones. But with this, the speedrunning community has been going ape shit about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's like 17 seconds is the current first place for a Jak 2 speedrun using the debug menu.
Yep.
Okay, well, speedrunning people aside from this topic, so let's not include them in this.
Sure.
Talking purely from a trophy hunting perspective, as of the the main focus of this podcast, I just want to get into the weeds about this. Is this cheating? To each individual person listening to this, would you class it as cheating? Is my question. Now, to me personally, I'm not bothered about other people who cheat, but I would personally I would feel a little cheap doing this myself. I'm not frowning upon anyone who does do it. It's their own choice. If you want to buy a game and pop all the trophies and spend your money that way, fine, whatever. That's you. You do you. But I wouldn't pay for this just to pop the trophy straight away. But that being said, though, we do have games like My Name is Mayo and Mr. Masagi where you can get a platinum. The fastest platinum I've got is from Mr. Masagi, and it was like 15 minutes. But I played the game through legit. I didn't open a control panel and force all the trophies to pop through like a developer control menu, through debugging. So I don't know. This is like a kind of grey area. Like, do we on the server, on our Discord server, we have the community trophy challenge where people post their platinums that they acquire, and it goes towards our leaderboards at the end of the month. Now, I'm not saying anything about that in terms of like disallowing trophies. I'm just putting that out there now. I'm not saying anything about that. But where do we stand on this? Guys, what's your thoughts?
Okay, sorry. You want to go first?
Go ahead, Vic. I'll add in later.
Okay, so for me, it's like I feel like the subject of cheating is more of a subjective type of thing. Like, if your enjoyment is based on the cheats, then you should have enjoyment with the cheats. In Jak and Daxter, especially in 2 and 3, there's some cheat codes that you can unlock after you collect all the collectibles, that you can get like invincibility, unlimited ammo, whatnot, and you get to be stronger and have more fun and freedom. Like, you open a certain way to play the game differently. Now,
sure, I understand that.
With debug mode, while it's certainly like a nice touch to go through how the developer places stuff and utilize certain aspects of the game. Like, okay, so you can place like a bunch of orbs in like a straight line, and you can just go through all of them and collect them all in like a second or so. Like, it doesn't matter if it's just orbs. It's mainly the story trophies. Like, for example, killing a certain boss, completing a certain mission. Those trophies are now mitigated to a speedrun percentage to the point that it's like minimized, like in seconds. You can then just unlock everything, and people won't actually go through the game and play it. And so people's stories of that game is going to be different because Jak 2 is a particularly hard game. Not sure if you guys ever played it, but Jak 2 and 3 are one of the hardest games on the system. And it's not because of the gameplay, it's mainly because of the health system and how enemy hitboxes work. And now those stories will be gone with the debug mode, because now more people are gonna just kind of collect all the trophies and move on. Although
I guess, but I think people are going to be buying, the people who are buying these games, even if it didn't have the debug issue with it, would really just be buying this for nostalgia. I mean, I'm sure there's people who've never played the games before playing it now, but chances are a high percentage of people who are buying them again because they enjoyed the games previously.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you on that.
But it seems a lot of people will be buying it now, at least within the trophy community, to pop the trophies. But I don't know. I mean, this is different. This is like, I mean, I've used like glitches and bugs in the past to help me along with trophies that are in the game. Like, I used a item multiplication bug that's in Dead Space to cut my playthroughs down to just like 3 rather than like 4 or 5 to get enough credits. But this is like opening a debug menu. You know, this is something that is not actually within the game. It's like outside of the game. I'm not saying it's like using like an emulator where you use software to like mess with the game to make things easier.
No, but you are using a tool that is outside of consumer reach to be able to game the system.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's the way that I was going to go with this real quick, is that this is a developer tool. This was never supposed to be in the hands of a consumer playing the game. So this is 100% without a doubt cheating the game. 100%.
Sure.
I mean, do you reckon they'll patch it out? It seems like the type of thing that could be patched out if they were really that bothered.
Oh yeah, they can definitely patch out a debug mode. That's no problem, because they can just rework the code and everything.
Although apparently the PS3 version also suffers with debug mode, although it doesn't work as well. You don't lock all the trophies at the same time. So if this is like something new that popped in. So I don't think
I don't know. These seem like the kind of games that don't get patches. They're just sort of like put out and they're done with, because
I know with 100% without a doubt the PS3 version, they're not going to touch that anymore. I mean, they can't. No. It's already gone. That's out of their minds. If they were to do anything, I could see how they would patch the PS4 collection.
No, I don't think they will patch it, because like, let's for a second pretend that I am Sony and I've just discovered that there's a debug menu in the game I've just put out, and now loads more people are buying it just for the trophies. Now, do I patch it and stop more trophy hunters just buying it just for the trophies? Let me think about that. No.
Yeah, but there have been other games that have had debug modes and everything, but they still patched it out and everything. So I mean,
the original ones
it depends on who published the game.
Yeah. Because the original Sonic the Hedgehogs had the debug modes actually built in as a cheat code that you could actually unlock and play about with. It's pretty fun.
Because
Sonic Mania actually incorporated that.
Sony is like, I'm not going to do this because more money. But another company could say, I want to patch it because I don't want the experience of the game to be ruined for other people who are wanting to get into it.
It's a purely business decision. They wouldn't do it. From an actual kind of wanting to play through the experience and it affecting it, that's another story. But I think I'll agree with you. I think even though the option's there, I don't think they're going to do it or bother.
No, I mean, if they were bothered about the experience, honestly, I mean, look at it. They ported this game to PS3, to Vita, to 4. This is not about making people enjoy the story. These are just quick cash-ins, because just look at the state of the Ghost games on Vita. They are bad on Vita, and some of they're not too great on. They're okay on PS3. And wasn't the PS4 version pretty bad? We did it a few episodes back, didn't we, Beck? We were talking about the PS4.
The PS4 is not a remaster; it's straight up a port from the PS2 version.
Yes, that's right, and it's not had like a lick of paint, so it's rough like the original PS2 version. And the Jak games on PS4, they're not remasters; they're just straight ports.
Yeah.
They're just upscale ports.
Like the PS3 one was a complete remaster. They updated the visuals. On the PS4, they straight up just took the PS2 version of that game and put it on the PS4. It's like what they did with Dark Cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's PS2 Classic on PS4.
Yeah.
That's really confusing.
I know.
Why would you put that effort into a console that you're not supporting anymore, and then put the worst version out on the newer one?
Oh no, but the HD collection came out years ago on PS3. Years ago, it was built and refreshed and remade for the. I think it's to do with the cell architecture of the PS3 that makes it harder.
Yeah, that chip was notoriously bad to develop for, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's probably easier just to put PS2 to PS4 rather than PS3 to PS4. So so we've got the PS2 sort of emulation going on PS4 now with the Jak one. So you've got like the muddy sort of textures and the not so smooth controls. Like I wish they did go to the effort of putting the because I platinumed Jak 1 on both PS3 and Vita, and I had a go of 2 and I just sort of lost interest. But if they put the HD version onto 4, I definitely would have gone for it again, because I really like that game. I just didn't like the other. I didn't really care much for the other.
You said Jak
Precursor Legacy. Jak onto PS4. That was what I was saying.
I misheard you. I thought you said Jak 4. I was like, what? Really?
They also could have not done the HD remastered solely because Jak X Combat Racing was added into the PS4 library.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe they had technical limitations when doing an HD remaster of that game, and so they were like, oh, well, we can't have 3 of the games be HD remasters and one of them just be a PS2 classic, so they just decided to make all of them PS2 classics. I don't know. Well,
anyway, just back to the sort of core thing before we move on is I'm not interested in playing the games again anyway, and I definitely am not keen on the idea of just buying a game just to pop all the trophies. I know it's a hard argument to have because we've got games where you just buy them just to pop all the trophies, like My Name is Mayo, again, as an example, and a few other games out there like Energy Cycle and a few others I can't think of off the top of my head right now. But it's kind of different with a big, like those games are short and like just for the trophies. They're like, I play most of them games on Vita just while sitting watching television. They're not games I really have to put much thought into. But buying a big game like the Jak trilogy, those games are long and difficult, like you said, Vec. So
see, this is the thing of like I would use this debug mode. I would with the PS4 version, but that's only because I've gone through and played this whole trilogy about 4 or 5 separate times.
Yeah, that's understandable.
So I have no problem using the debug mode because I've already experienced everything that the games have to offer. So this doesn't trouble me. Now, people who are just getting into the series and using the debug mode for that sore reason, that's where I have the fault.
Yeah,
it's certainly a grey area for now, I guess. So should we just move on to the last topic?
Yeah, the last topic is Ni no Kuni 2. Since it's gonna be released, I think it's next week. The trophies have already been listed in the PSN at the moment, so you can actually look up the trophies themselves. Now, so far people have been rating it as a 3 out of 10 difficulty, with roughly around 60 hours for the overall 100% completion. And right now, looking at the list it's like it will be not hard, just time consuming, with slaying like monsters in that are particular or noteworthy that are called tainted monsters, beating the 10th Dreamer's Maze, which is apparently one of the harder things to do in that game, recruiting all 100 citizens and upgrading the castle to level 4. So you can just get all the trophies by just playing the game and enjoying it. But I want to hear your thoughts about the list itself, because that looks interesting.
Well, I'll just get mine out of the way first. I don't have any interest in this game, so that's me out.
I also will. I have an interest from a spectative point of view, but I don't think I'm going to be able to play this anytime soon. I really like the art style because it's just like adhering to Studio Ghibli's style, which I heard they're not doing this around, are they? They did the first one, didn't they?
Yeah, they're not collaborating with them on this one.
No, which is a bit of a shame, but at least they've got the style replicated, which is pretty cool. But
see, this is what I like, is because Daz and Steve are like, they have an interest sort of, or Daz doesn't have an interest at all. This for me, I have 100% interest for. This is day one for me.
Oh, good man. Good to hear.
Because just I fell in love with the first game, and this trophy list is kind of similar to how the first one works, where they have, your standard story trophies. You have your miscellaneous trophies like, amass this much money, defeat this boss, blah blah blah, defeat this super boss and everything. This is I love the way that the combat is working in this game. How they're taking it more action oriented, and they're kind of doing away with how the monster combat worked in the first game.
Yep.
And I also like the kingdom defense mode that they got going on in this one.
Yeah, that's the building, isn't it? It's where you get to build your own kingdom and stuff.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. So for me, since I loved the first one so much, this is definitely day one for me.
Cool,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say just when Vec was reading out all the trophies in regards to like the length and it's RPG as well. So I was going to say it sounds like it's right up your alley anyway, Sora. So it doesn't surprise me.
And like Vec, you said 30 to 60 hours, right?
60 hours.
60 hours? See, I mean, that's kind of standard for an RPG Platinum.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, or it's kind of on the short end, actually, because some RPG Platinums take over 100 hours.
150 hours total times.
Well, that's expected with that kind of game. All right, well, okay, sure. So let's... that's all the news done, so we can move on to our next segment, yeah, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure. So now on to our Tricky Trophy segment, where we look back through our trophy collections at some of the most challenging, rage-inducing gameplay, or just plain boredom and grinding we've had to endure for a single trophy. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go first because I've got, I think, the shortest and least trickiest of the trophies probably out of our submissions today. this is from a pretty recent game. This is from Assassin's Creed Origins. As I said, this is not particularly tricky, but it can be. I got really lucky. The platinum's not too rare on this game anyway. On PSN profiles, it's 27.29, so that's pretty common. It's listed as uncommon, but in terms of trophy hunting, that's a very common platinum. So yeah, the trophy in particular, which I have now lost, Slasher, that's it. Slasher, kill 3 enemies with 1 hit. Now, when I first looked at the list of this game, I thought, this one is going to be one that's going to be a bit of a problem. But it turns out I got it completely by accident. As the description says, you have to kill 3 enemies with just 1 single swing of your sword. And I was lucky enough to go into a cave and have a bunch of hyenas completely surround me. And I was quite high leveled up at the time with a really decent sword. So low powered enemy just took them out. But I can imagine people struggling with this if they don't really know where to go or don't just have it luck based like I did. But yeah, I would say if you are listening to this and you're playing the game and you want to know you are struggling with this, there is a cave outside of Siwa, which I found, which has quite a few hyenas in it, and you can just basically get them into a corner. I think there's like 3 or 4 in there, and you can just do a heavy swing, and you should be able to take them all out. You can even leave this to the end of the game where you're really high level, and animals like hyenas are like no problem, especially in Siwa, which is like the starting area where all the enemies will be really low, really easy to kill by the time you get back there later on in the game. So yeah, that was my one. Not particularly hard, but just luck based really. You might find it hard if you're struggling. Steve,
yo,
what's your tricky trophy?
See, I'm the black sheep of this podcast, as I've only got 1 platinum trophy, and I'm very proud of my platinum trophy.
How dare you?
Because it took me a while to get. I know, I should just leave right now, shouldn't I?
just dialing tone. Someone edit in a dialing tone. No, it's fine. Honestly, we don't. We do not promote elitism on our server or on our podcast. Everyone is welcome, even if you're not a trophy hunter. But yeah, go on, carry on. What's your trophy?
Well, I got my platinum trophy for Crash 3 on the Insane Trilogy. That took me a while, but I must admit the time trials for getting all the platinums in Crash 2 was blooming tough. So I got this one. It was just one per burner engaged for the Insane Trilogy for Crash 2, which is getting 27 relics gold or better, and I went for all platinums, and that took me a long time, especially like levels like Piston It Away. Really tested my patience in terms of like instances where you jump on those octopus robot things, and because they've messed around with the hitboxes, it then registers you as not jumping on the safe spots but actually getting electrocuted, and that happened several times. My god, that was tough. But yeah, I was just saying earlier, I actually went through the wrong way with the time trials. I went with 3 down to 2, and now I'm on 1, and I still haven't finished 1. So there's that.
We've spoken about it many times in previous episodes, but yeah, 1 is the hardest, 2 is medium, and 3, in my experience, only had 1 particularly trying one. It was the sort of like a Arabian Nights kind of themed levels. There was one particular one.
Yeah, Hang 'em High.
Where you have to like monkey bar through it all. Like that one was really annoying, but that was probably the hardest one in that game. But 2, those space station levels at the end where the hitboxes, you're right, the hitboxes for the safe areas were well off. So when you're running through a time trial and you have to get it so precise on those enemies, or you're burnt to a crisp, and then it's back to the beginning again. I totally sympathise. I have the platinum in all 3 of those games, and 1 is definitely the hardest, 2 has its moments, and 3 has just 1 really hard one, and that's about it. I say really hard, like compared to the rest of the game. But I mean, I wish you all the luck with the first game, because like I don't, not to try and put you off, but I do not envy the position you're in of playing them in reverse, because you get you to sort of quote the kind of good, the sort of Dark Souls kind of mantra of like get good. Like you do get good at those games by struggling through the first game.
Man, I am not looking forward to the high road or the lab as well, or doing slippery climb.
You were suffering.
Or the new one they released as DLC, which was that beta level.
Stormy Ascent. Yeah, I didn't do that one because by the time I had the platinum, I was like, you know what? Fuck your shit. I'm not doing this.
I'm out.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it's not required for the platinum, so because it's DLC, so I was like, nope. Yeah, not required. Leave it. I did try it. I did give it a go, but I was like, by the time I went back, well after getting all 3 platinums, I'd lost the passion for the game, so I didn't really care. So.
That's fair enough. That game does burn you out when you play it several times, and you just get the relentless deaths. And over and over. It's just like, do you know what?
That's why I played a different game in between each one, just because you need a break. The games are identical in their gameplay, so and how long is each game? Like, is it like 15 hours, maybe 20 hours?
It depends, really. If you bother going for the time trials, it'll be double that. So the time trials are only really mandatory for getting 100% of the game on 3, because they've been retroactively added to the first one and the second one, and they're not necessary, but they're only for trophy hunters like you guys.
Mm-hmm. So like, if in terms of platinum, getting a platinum for each game, you're thinking about probably 20 hours to do everything. I'm thinking this is just a rough estimate. Right. So yeah, imagine playing like 60 hours of Crash Bandicoot in a row. I couldn't do that, so I needed to have a break in between. So I played something completely different in between each one, because like with previous collections, Ratchet and Clank collection on PS3, Sly Cooper, and other ones like that, like the BioShock collections that were put out on PS4. You just need to do something in between, because it's really easy to burn out on games that are very similar to each other, mechanically speaking. And I played, like, I'm just looking at my trophies here, between Crash Bandicoot, the first one, and the second one. I just played some little indie game. Then between the second and the third, there's quite a few games in between the second and the third for me. I played Time Machine VR, Oxenfree, Rhyme in between the second and third, so quite a few different games in between, just to cleanse my palate, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sora, what's your tricky trophy for this week?
All right, so I had a little bit of a toss-up between the trophies from the same game, but I ultimately decided to go, again, with RPG roots and everything. I decided to go Borderlands 2.
Ooh.
Interesting. This one. So this trophy has a 10.86% completion on a PSN profiles.
Let me just try to guess. Right? Let me just try.
Yeah.
Is it in the core game?
Yeah, it's in the core game.
Is it that one where you've got to get that silly little robot to spawn?
Yes, you're on the money.
Jimmy Jenkins!
You're on the money.
Jimmy Jenkins.
So on Daz's correct prediction, the trophy is called Challenge Accepted. So what this trophy entails is you have to complete level 1 of all non-level specific challenges in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And what that entails is like killing blank amount of or killing X amount of enemies, killing or discovering X amount of locations, so on and so forth. None of those are bad by any stretch of the means, but what makes this trophy possibly the worst out of this entire game is one challenge, and it's called, as Daz can say just now, it's good old Jimmy Jenkins.
Jimmy Jenkins.
This little robot is very much a rare spawn, and I believe when I looked it up when I was going through it about a month ago, because I got the platinum a month ago, the spawn rate for this guy is a 0.1%.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when you open any box, you have a 0.1% chance of getting Jimmy out of that box.
Yep.
Like loot crates and big weapon chests, you get like a 0.5% chance that he spawns, but nonetheless, it's still a bitch of a challenge to complete.
Oh, that sounds
And they also
not fun.
And they also increase with Hyperion, because he's in the Hyperion mini bot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, you have to kind of I missed it the first time round, so I had to play the game through again, and you have to. The guide says on PlayStation Trophies, the one that I used, that if you have these certain few missions active at the same time, it increases the percentage. But still, that doesn't really help, because I I must have reloaded my save like 10, 15 times and doing that same bit in that like lab, that zoology kind of lab area. Is that
the wildlife preservation?
I must have done that like 15, 20 times just before.
This is one of those trophies where it can either be really quick and you get it, or it can take you 30 hours.
Oh, wow.
When I played it on PS3 and I got the platinum on that, it took me 5 hours just to find Jimmy Jenkins. Just to keep searching for him and opening it up. On PS4, it took me literally 20 minutes.
Oh, lucky.
So I got extremely lucky on the PS4 version. Yeah. But I remember the trials and tribulations of having to go through the PS3 version and finding Jimmy. 100%.
Yeah. I only ever played Borderlands 2 in the Handsome Collection on PS4, so yeah, that really sucks. I mean, how many times do we always talk about this? About luck-based and randomized trophies are like the worst for trophy hunters, along with multiplayer trophies. Yeah. And these rare spawns, especially in the Borderlands games, are like... And like to bundle that into a trophy for doing all the side missions as well is really... That really sucks. I thought, even if it was its own trophy, it wouldn't help. But the fact that you could do literally everything else in the game and not even get a chance to get this spawn to happen in your playthrough is, I think it's really unfair to have that as part of a side mission. But it is doable, but you just need to kind of cheese the game a little bit by having certain missions to increase the likelihood of spawn rate. But yeah,
that sort of achievement would annoy the piss out of me. So more power to you, man, for actually.
You definitely have to have the dedication and the drive to actually want to do it. What I did was I just took 30-minute breaks when I did the PS3 version, and I just played something else and then went back to it, and then eventually one of those times that I went back to it, it popped. So it's just one of those times where you got to be patient.
Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's why I didn't play the pre-sequel. By the time I got to the end of Borderlands 2 and got the platinum for that, I was like, I'm in... My appetite for Borderlands games is done. Like, I have no interest in playing more Borderlands for a good few years, because it took so much time to get the platinum, and like we've just talked about, so much effort just to get that spawn to happen that I just traded in the Handsome Collection afterwards because I didn't want to play any more Borderlands. Didn't even want it in my sight, so I had to get rid of it. Yeah. So that leaves Vec. What's your tricky trophy?
Okay, so I'm gonna be with Sora, and I'm gonna talk about an RPG.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm going to talk about one of my favorite PS3, PS4 titles, Persona 5, because I absolutely love that game, and everybody should play it at least once.
No spoilers, please.
Yes, and the trophy itself is the Mask Collector, which is completing the Persona Compendium. And while it's not a difficult task, my personal experience with the compendium in this game has been very atrocious. So I started the game up, and you get like a tutorial knowing how the compendium works, and you have to craft certain personas to fuse them in order to make new personas that you can use in battle. And you basically have to collect all of them. Now, what it says, collect all of them, it doesn't say fuse all of them. So what that means is that there's some 4 or 5 different monsters that you can find in dungeons called jewel personas, or treasure demons. And these treasure demons can only be spawned in certain different areas in the dungeon, or if you go to the mementos area, it's a very low chance to actually spawn. Although they're in the dungeons, they're fixed locations. So if you missed one in like the very first dungeon, you can't go back to it because the game doesn't allow you to go back to different dungeons after you've beaten them. And instead, what you're gonna do is like either go to the mementos and do that low roll to get that treasure demon, or wait until like New Game Plus to have another shot to get that treasure demon back. And one of the bigger problems is that getting the treasure demons in like the very few last palaces or dungeons in the game, if you miss those, when you go to mementos, their spawn rate are kinda at the same size as the Jimmy Jenkins ones.
And so this is another RNG.
Yeah, if you miss the actual treasure demons on the the other palaces, you're basically fucked if you try to get to the mementos area, because the mementos area, the last 3 treasure demons are all located in like the same 2 floors, one on top of the other. And you can just climb up. You can just go and spawn at the very bottom and just climb up both of those and try to see if you can scum it. But even still, you have to low roll because there's 3 different demons, treasure demons that appear within that area. And if you already got 2 of them and you're missing 1, you're basically fucked because you can't get that last one unless you go back and reload, go back, reload, go back and reload. And once you get it, be sure to save, because what happened to me was that midway through that session, I lost that persona due to a power failure. And I was so pissed.
This is what the trophy that Vex is talking about ultimately took my playtime for Persona 5 from 90 hours, because the story itself is 90 hours. If you watch all the cutscenes, if you go through everything, it's a 90-hour story. This trophy took my playtime from 90 hours to 210 hours.
Yes, it's so fucking grindy as well. Like, you have to collect.
And like, I for myself can vouch for this because like I love Persona 5 without a doubt. It's one of my top 10 favorite games. But this trophy makes or breaks trophy hunters.
Yeah, like
it's legit the worst trophy I've ever had to
I
get.
feel sorry for you guys. That's bad. Yeah. It's like power cut ruining that much progress. That's crushing, dude.
Yeah, it's crushing, and it gets worse. The story gets worse. There's something called fusion accidents that happen in the game. So let's say you're fusing X persona with another persona and you try to get this result. There's a low roll chance that you can make a different persona, either better or for worse, and it only happens once in a playthrough. It happened to me while I was crafting the ultimate persona. And the ultimate persona, it's not like fusion, like, okay, just fuse it and that's it. But the steps required to get all those demons, buying them with yen, which is fucking expensive. It takes like 1 million of the currency in the game to actually fuse it all. And then once you fuse it, it says, oh, there's a fusion accident. I'm like, oh no. So I had to go back and reload the game in order to successfully make that again. And you have to re-buy and refuse all those personas again.
Well, I mean, I don't have any interest in the Persona games, but you describing this trophy has just absolutely cemented my zero interest even more.
But the game is good. The game is good, and if you retroactively going out of your way to get all the personas, like, as they unlock, then you're gonna have a better time with that trophy. Is that if you leave it all for like the very last thing, you're gonna be like Sora, and 100 hours plus time spent just trying to get all those personas back. So
this is why when I go into a big game, I always read a trophy guide first, just to like get a good gist of what I definitely need to know, and to prevent like things like this from happening. I mean, and obviously, like, you can't help the random things that happen, like these accidents and whatnot when you're like fusing and everything. But yeah, definitely, this is why I like to go in with a little bit of foreknowledge in regards to like missables or really roundabout things you've got to do for a single trophy, you know. That's always good to read up. But then again, doing that, you've got to just be careful of spoilers as well, because it's obviously very easy to to glance over a spoiler when you're looking at a trophy guide. But a lot of times, usually in trophy guides on PlayStation trophies or some in PSN profiles as well, they structure the guides in such a way that it just tells you what to look out for rather than like full spoilers, which is always incredibly handy. So like some big games in the past, I'll get a notebook out and I'll go on PSN profiles or PlayStation trophies, and I will jot down just things I need to look out for, like not spoilers, but just things I need to keep in the back of my mind. And it's always good, like if you're trophy hunting, to have a read up first, just so you don't end up putting in unnecessary hours or just missing something just because you passed a door that you didn't even notice, or there's an item just out of view, just something like that. Of course, there's loads of trouble in the past. If you've been a trophy hunter, no doubt you've suffered from these kind of things before. So that brings us to the end of that segment and pretty much to the end of this week's episode. So just before we do signing off and rounding up and everything, anything about the Discord we want to add, Vec or Sora? Anything going on?
Not much happening on the server, actually. After THL happened, everybody's like kind of burnt out. I noticed that everyone's like burnt out of getting like 50 plus trophies in like a day. So I can understand why people want to like not talk as much in the server, but so far everybody's recovering from that, and certainly more people are playing more games. So I think the only thing we have to talk about is maybe the Bloodborne.
Yes, as we mentioned last week, the Bloodborne thread is very active because Bloodborne being on PlayStation Plus this month. It's only been a week, and there's been loads of new people joining the server still. People wanting help with Bloodborne, people offering their help for Bloodborne. So just please keep joining in and seeing if you can help fellow people on the server down in the Bloodborne thread.
And
all help is welcome.
And if you manage to get the platinum for that between the March 6th to April 1st, we'll be having a raffle to people who want to earn the Bloodborne platinum. Members can post the platinum and potentially enter a raffle for a $25 PSN card. So make sure that the timestamp is correct and submit between those. It's March 10th, ending on April 1st. And we swear to God, it's not an April Fool's joke. So please.
All right then.
Yeah.
Okay, well that pretty much wraps it all up then. So we'll just do a few sign-offs. But first of all, to our special guest today, from SteveOfWarr on YouTube and Twitter. That's where we can find you, right? If you want to just tell us real quick about what you do on YouTube.
Basically, I do sort of analytical comedic reviews about video games. I've done some movies as well, and I also cover some top 10s about different subjects in gaming. So you can check me out at SteveOfWarr on YouTube, SteveOfWarr on Twitter, on Facebook. I've got Patreon as well, if you wanted to check that out as well. And also, I'm with a group with a bunch of other YouTubers called Second Invite. We've got a website, which is secondinvite.com, which is 2ND. 2ndinvite.com, and we post like streams. They do Let's Plays as well. We've got some guys that specialize in VR. We've got a podcast as well called Boss Mode, the podcast on hard mode as well, and all sorts of things going on. So if you want to check out my channel, you can do. That'd be amazing. I'm nearly at 1,000 subscribers, so any help towards that would be great.
Yes.
But my recent video is about Sea of Thieves, but you can also check out some of my older stuff where I talked about 10 of the more underrated boss tunes in video games, and some of them actually include ones from RPGs like Lost Odyssey, for instance, or Kingdom Hearts. So check that out too. Let me know what you think.
Yes.
That's awesome. Cool.
That was a lot of words. Sorry.
That's all right. That's great. That's good to know. I will check out your YouTube. Sure. Actually, I did have a glance at it today when I was just having a little look through, and I see you've got a few reviews and stuff on there as well. And there's also a video. There's also a video of me doing level for Crash Bandicoot 1 blindfolded as well, which is quite a laugh. So if you want a little bit of a laugh, then you can check out me and the Stone Man take it in turns to do Hog Wild on Crash Bandicoot 1 blindfolded.
Certainly,
it took us a while. Yeah, it's a good watch. But
okay.
Cheers for having me.
That's all right. Sora, where can people find?
Just on Twitter, if you want to follow me, I'm at Saratu right there. At Twitch, I'm growing in my Twitch right now, so it's at twitch.com/Saratu_gaming. If you want to check out some of the stuff that I'm doing as far as, like my Kingdom Hearts level 1 critical mode run and everything, it's quite a laugh. I fail a lot of times. I'm not good at the game, so if you find enjoyment out of other people's pain, come support me, give me a follow and all that. I'm also with 3 community organizers that we have here in the Discord server of This Justin, Nomad Dragon, and SSG Punish. We are hopefully, fingers crossed, starting a 4-way live stream of Borderlands the pre-sequel today. And so that will probably be going down around, I want to say, 8 p.m. Central Time.
Right on.
And it will be happening periodically every week.
All right, well, best of luck with that series then. And Vec, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at TheVectronic. And now, Daz, where can people find you?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. You can find me on Twitter at TheDazil. So, guys, thank you for listening. As always, you can find our episodes on our YouTube channel, The Trophy Trust. Please support us there by subscribing for future episodes. You can also find updates on our Twitter at The Trophy Trust. There in the profile, you can find the link to our Discord, the PlayStation Trophy Hunter server, where you, if you haven't already, can join our ever-growing community of gamers and trophy hunters. If you enjoy our show, please consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. We're a strictly a non-profit podcast. However, server hosting costs need to be paid to keep us on the air and to keep our episodes available. This has been the Trophy Trust. Thanks for listening and keep on hunting. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Most awkward ending ever.